Police officers of Reddit. How do you know if someone is acting nervous because they did something wrong or because I did nothing but it's the police so I'm going to act nervous anyway? There's a difference between evasive and nervous. Nervous will natter on a bit, but evasive knows they gotta avoid mentioning/doing something. If they keep looking below their car seat, can't articulate where they're going, etc. Nervous people calm as the interaction goes on. People with something to hide often get worse. All of the responses you're going to get are signs of someone just being nervous or not wanting to be interrogated by a cop. This is the problem with police officers assuming they have some magic ability to tell when someone is a criminal just by looking at them. It lets them invent reasons to go further with their search than they legally should based on their experience. It also gives them an excuse to follow their préjugés, known and unknown. For instance, police regularly indicate that furtive gestures led them to believe something was afoot. Those same officers are regularly unable to define the word furtive. Law student here. They don't. In fact, police interrogation techniques are designed to make you nervous and stress you out. People often say whatever the police want after long periods of interrogation. That is why you shouldn't talk to police without a lawyer present. Even if you're stopped, ask if you're being detained. If they say no, then leave. If they say yes, ask why. If it seems serious, like you are going to get arrested, tell them you would like your lawyer present for any remaining conversations. Edit. Note. Traffic stop means you're being detained. Note, I said ask for a lawyer if it gets serious and seems like you will be arrested. Added because people seem to think I want everyone pulled over to demand a lawyer right away. You don't. You just shoot and say something like tag M and bag M. Everyone laughs and that's lunch. One thing I'm leaving from this thread is I'm gonna get shot either way. Obligated, not a police officer. However, there is a vast majority of officers who seem to have anger management issues/ungodly need for absolute compliance. I grew up in both good areas and bad. I actually got more shit in the good areas. I remember I was turning at a stop sign, after being stopped for about 5 minutes waiting for a light to change so I could turn left. I turned left after waiting a bit for no more cars after the change of a light near the stop sign and turned left. Police officer was behind me shortly after the turn, running a red light, had plenty of distance, but when I was driving almost hit me because he wasn't paying attention and almost rear-ended me. Pulled me over, came up and shouted, "What the fuck was that?" Demanded my license while degrading my driving skills and seeing ability. All while screaming, and gave me a ticket for reckless driving. Told me to get off of the fucking road and drove away. I was 17, 5 feet 4 inches and very respectful the entire exchange, never once raising my voice, or saying anything other than "Yes, officer." That officer made me second guess every other police encounter I have seen. Because his reaction was so over the top and ridiculously aggressive for no reason. I contested the charge and the ticket got dropped, but I will never forget that interaction and never feel safe around officers. Perhaps we should screen people more frequently for power complexes serving in positions of power. There are a few signs. Being too compliant. Suggesting where to go, who to speak to, what to look for. They're usually trying to set up their own alibi because they've already got their cover story sorted from the unusual circumstance you find it. They want to leave,
or are trying to create deliberate event where they can leave. They act suspicious, constantly touching/clutching a pocket, or don't look at you in the eyes and constantly move/shuffle. The most important factor you have is the fact you're in a position of appointed authority, and a lot of people are scared of that. Anyone who runs is a VC. Anyone who doesn't run is a well-disciplined VC. I got pulled over when I was 17 because I accidentally cut off a cop and he was convinced I ran a stop sign. In reality, his car was black, it was raining, and there was a tree in the way, so I just didn't see him coming when I stopped. When he came up to my window, I started to hyperventilate and was trying to remain calm when speaking to him, but due to my anxiety disorder I couldn't. He looked at my license and said, "I see you are 2 months from turning 18. I replied that I was, and I was about to leave for college soon and had never been pulled over before. This officer said anyone under 18 deserves to have a ticket. You kids are annoying and need to learn your lesson." I immediately started having a worse panic attack and crying harder. He laughed in my face, gave me the ticket and drove away. Because I was under 18, it would have been really hard for me to legally contest the ticket. Luckily I just got community service, and I got a family friend to write me a letter saying I had done service. But still, that cop was an asshole. They can't tell. A friend of mine has always been accused simply because of the way he looks despite being a great person. If there were good cops around, you'd see more stories of them offing their shithead counterparts. But no, they always toe that thin blue line of bullshit. As a general rule, they don't care if you're innocent or not. It's only natural to be nervous around cops because we know they're only looking to pin some shit on you that you didn't do. I think if you read the news you will see that it is pretty well established that the police cannot tell the difference. They don't. I'll admit, I won't calm down at all the entire time I'm interacting with the police. I just can't. My constant thought process is basically, oh god, they're going to kill me if I so much as blink. I haven't done anything wrong and they'll get away with shooting me. Cops assume anyone who is nervous is hiding something and use it as probable cause to shoot their dog. Reminder: do not talk to cops. https://udo.be/d-709xyp7ee. They can't. A fucking cop's intuition is not an indicator of guilt. Jesus Christ. You're effectively asking members of an organized crime syndicate what it's like to be a cunt. Police are criminals in uniform. Do you look like a criminal or not? Police don't get super duper training. If you are acting nervous, the officer will fall back on his bias without realizing and find a pattern to say if he did something wrong or not. Not really shitting on the police here, that's just humanity in general. As a person who was once turned around at the US border being told there is a warrant out for my arrest in Canada, I had to go to the police to figure out what is up, and I have never been so nervous in my life. The US border enforcement officer wouldn't tell me what the warrant was for, and I was completely confused by the whole ordeal as I had entered the US previously several times and I had to complete a criminal background check for the job I was working. I know I had done nothing wrong, but not knowing what was going to happen next, thinking I may be immediately apprehended and locked up at the Canadian border, then having to go to the RCMP and then not one but two other police stations and tell them that there is a warrant out for my arrest, but I had no idea about it, was scary.
Just for closure on the issue, it appears someone had provided an officer with my name and address after being caught committing a crime, and they had no ID on them, as the description written down by the officer who caught this fake me did not match my description. Not sure why that person was let go in the first place. My best friend is afraid of the cops for absolutely no reason. They just make her very cranky and anxious. And on Halloween we were going to a Halloween party and we're getting onto the expressway from the city, and she merged between two vehicles from a mobile escape room which were very visibly trying to stick close together and stay together, and then she merged out, all with no blinker, and then had to speed up, and there was a cop in front of the bus that was the front escape room vehicle, and she had to merge in front of him and get on the highway immediately, and thank fuck she did that with a blinker. About 5 miles later we got off at the next exit, into the town the party was in, and, for anyone from Michigan, it's Saginaw. It's a minor Detroit/Chicago type city. My map wasn't showing us exactly where the party was, and she kept going around the block, taking corners going 35 and not using her blinker anytime. I'm talking she did 15 to 16 corners like this, slowing and speeding up irregularly as we tried to find it. It was at an open during the day dojo, and there were 7 Colombian pesos cars outside of it the first loop and more pulling up the entire time she was driving. They shut it down about 20 minutes after we got there because of the noise, but they originally came trying to say there was underage drinking going on. When we got out of the car and were walking to it, I, very nicely said, "Hey, you should have been using your blinker, there were a lot of cops and we could have gotten pulled over." She's a blonde and is genuinely kind of a ditzy blonde. I love her to death, but she's not always on the same page or even in the same book, and she's very quick to get mad. She very loudly snapped at me that cops freaked her out and she was just nervous and a lot of other things. She's never had a bad incident with cops, and I was raised with them constantly taking my dad to jail and still have no problems with law enforcement, and as very respectful and friendly when speaking to one cop here. A giveaway for me is when they are the obvious type of criminals and are too friendly when pulled over. Making small talk, just handing documents over without being asked to and the such. Being nervous is usually not a giveaway, as people are mostly nervous when talked to by police. Also, some people are just terrible liars. You are poking into it too much. When a cop tells another cop that's an order is not same thing as cop saying I need to see your license and registration. I don't view that as an order. If a cop tells me to open my trunk, as ND it's an order, I will laugh. If he says do you mind opening your trunk, I may or may not. They don't know. They just shoot anyway. If they have drugs/weapons in their pocket, they will literally pat that pocket while saying nope, nothing illegal. Is he white? Fine. Is he darker than a latte? Not fine. You usually can't, which is sad, but we will only catch people who we know that has done something bad. They don't know, they just shoot the person. Problem solved. Maybe if we didn't recruit our police force from the military, they wouldn't bring the inflexibility, kill or be killed mentality, PTSD, and all the fun things that come from being shot at/attempted to be blown up thousands of miles away from America, home with them to their new job, and the people they serve and protect wouldn't fear for their lives over traffic stops. Till that police are even more detached from reality than I originally thought. Wow, I'm seeing a lot of negativity in here directed at police. Yes, there are bad cops, but there are also very good cops that are trying their hardest to prove the stereotypes about them wrong. The only reason we only hear about the bad things cops do is because that's the only thing people care about. Not all cops are bad, and they do a very hard and dangerous job that they don't get the respect they deserve for doing it. Not a cop. This just brought back a memory. I was 19, living in my first apartment, and my psycho neighbors called the cops saying I was doing drugs. 3 showed up and asked to search the place, and I declined after allowing them inside because I know my rights. They said they would just go get a warrant and come back, and told them, you go ahead and do that then. Then one asked me why I was shaking and so nervous, and I finally said I have PTSD and there are 3 people with guns in my living room. They left and never came back with that warrant. Most cops don't know the difference. They're just there to try and bulldoze you into giving up your rights so they can proceed how they want. They don't know shit and have no real training or education. It's all bullshit. They don't. Implying they care or attempt to differentiate whatsoever. I don't even know why I bother reading the comments on these threads. 2 types of posters ITT. People that hate cops and lawyers/future lawyers that hate cops. Like they give a fuck. They just know. In reality, everyone should be nervous around cops. They can and have killed people for no reason because they are trained to suspect everyone of being a potentially deadly threat. The current culture within PDS seems to be breeding power-tripping psychopaths just itching for their chance to get to shoot something. Of course there are great officers everywhere, but that doesn't really matter if you get stopped by the psychopath and accidentally stick your hands in your pockets. Almost certainly, they can't. This has been studied. People suck at identifying liars. People think they can, but it's all confirmation bias. They remember all the times they were right and forget the times they were wrong. The only times liars can be reliably identified in general is when they make verifiable errors of fact. I didn't steal that man's wallet when they have the wallet in their pocket. If someone tells you they can always identify a lie, they're wrong. It doesn't mean they'll be wrong every time they try, just that you shouldn't take their claims as reliable. American police are not trained to discern whether or not someone is acting nervously. They are trained to antagonize and escalate at every opportunity in order to justify an increasing escalation of force, which they retroactively claim they had no choice, only foregoing escalation if they receive complete and utter submission. You shouldn't ask police anything because they do not serve nor protect you. To them you are something to be controlled, referred to as the sheepdog mentality, you being the sheep. I encourage you to explore a longer write-up concerning this issue. The most correct answer is you can't, and any cop telling you they can is either lying to you or themselves. There is no such thing as a tell, broadly. Some people have them, some people are just nervous. All that shit about reading body language to spot a liar is completely unsupported by science. Cop science is bad science. Darting eyes to whatever area they are trying to keep me from looking in. I have never ever done anything. I don't even have a speeding ticket, mainly because I don't have a driver's license, and I always get frickin' nervous because it is the police. Although I gotta say it's getting better with time since I've been selected for random searches so many times in my life than I'm used to it. Hey, anyone know why that people who have been abused by police, What's your story? Thread got deleted. If it's just a casual control, usually people who have nothing to hide get more comfortable as the discussion goes on. People who have something to hide get less and less comfortable and start to make mistakes/lies on what they say. My first time getting pulled over, the cop asked me if I was drinking and why I was so nervous. When I told him it was my first time getting pulled over, he said he'd pulled over a lot of people for the first time and they weren't so nervous. He didn't know what the fuck was going on and just wanted me to confess to something. If they're just nervous, common indicators include things like sweaty palms, weak knees, heavy arms, vomit on their sweater, etc. Lots of people here are hating on cops, and there are cops ruggedly defending their position back. There are lots of good cops who genuinely do want to help the community, and also a lot of problems with bad cops and the system that protects poor cops. But this type of rhetoric scares me because it causes more and more distrust between the community and law enforcement on both sides. I want to throw this out there, knowing I might get downvoted to hell for it. People like to complain about LE being terrible but are unwilling to go personally fix it. If you wish to see change in your community, go be the change. The Dallas police chief says it best in this article. https://washingtonpost.com/news/morning-mix/w/p/20166/255/the-police-5-chief-police-chief-2 Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell. This book changed my view on cops. It's very well written, well produced, and explains this topic perfectly. Edit, formatting and better detail. Well, from my own experience, I don't feel pressured when I see cops when I didn't do anything wrong. But when I'm high, I feel the shock when I see them. I want to look what they are about to do, but at the same time don't want to look at them. I try to remain calm but have to watch my every step. Heartbeat rises till you're nauseous. So when they're not stupid, they will spot it. But damn, are they stupid? It's easy. If they're white, they are probably just nervous. If they're black, shoot to kill and figure out the crime later. Police bad. Skin color. Beat them both up and let the judge sort it out. How the pigs really think. Not a cop, but I'm an insurance fraud investigator. A bit different, but still deal with both types of nervous people. As another commenter said, it's pretty easy to tell, they act differently. Innocent nervous might be a bit short-tempered that you are questioning them in the first place, and might often ask you why you are asking a question, but ultimately will answer your questions plainly, and the story they give will likely match up with the other evidence, and if there are any holes in it they can give a reasonable explanation for it. Guilty nervous will probably be overly nice, and tell you that they are going to fully cooperate, because of course I will quickly see they are innocent, but then their story will be full of holes. They won't remember key details that most people would easily remember. They will be very vague with their answers. Sometimes they will refuse to answer certain questions that might cause them to contradict an earlier statement. When I bring up holes in their story, they won't be able to explain it. I always read a fraud warning during every interview, Basically a really formal "do you understand that insurance fraud is a felony?" Innocent people will quickly answer yes and move on. Guilty nervous will usually take a long pause, and look away before answering. They don't. There is no surefire way. So you ask questions, watch the eyes, watch body language, let the silence hang in the air if they give a half-assed answer, look for clues, anything from your car to your clothes, the people with you, anything that might help. It's more art than science. You could be a naturally nervous person and forget. Maybe you're sick with a stomach bug, but still went out with friends anyway. Maybe you just banged that hooker you're pretending is a good friend, and now she knows your real name. Maybe you were dumb enough to stick with that fake name you gave her, and I caught you. Crime shows have both helped and hindered every aspect of police work, setting unrealistic standards and giving away actual things we do. People get nervous over nothing at all, and others are cool as a cucumber despite just having robbed someone.